Welcome to Agile to Agility podcast with Milan Bajic.
Major show alert!
The very first value we wrote is individuals and interactions.
Let's take this to another level.
Thank you so much, Milan, by the way, for organizing this. I've been attending all the two previous sessions and they've been rich. So I appreciate the opportunity. So my name is Karen Fomafung, for those who don't know me, and most people know me from YouTube, by the way. And what I do is I'm so passionate about helping organizations, helping teams, helping individuals to be successful with Agile through partnership. That's what I do in summary. So I'm just going to quickly share my screen here and then we will be talking from there. Just give me 1 second. All right. All right, so when Milan reached out with this opportunity to be part of this program, I thought it was perfect timing because I had just read the 2022 report of the State of Agile. So I started thinking, okay, so what am I going to contribute? I know it's really leaning towards Scrum, but there can be no Scrum without Agile as a whole. So I decided to put something together. Now, what we're going to be talking about today is, according to this 2022 State of Agile Report, coaches are facing difficulties in enabling Agile culture, mindset shift, So according to this report that was taken by 2,130 people from 82 different countries, difficulties in transforming mindsets and establishing an Agile culture is on the rise among all the other difficulties that coaches are facing. So as Agile practitioners, how do we better help organizations, help teams, and help individuals to achieve this Agile mindset? Now, by the time we are done with this whole talk, I'm hoping that we all will walk away with some causes of Agile culture and mindset shift difficulties, because something must be causing that. And then I just have some recommendations on how to enable an effective mindset culture and mindset shift, and all of the contents that I'll be covering today is based off the report, the 2022 report, and some of my experiences. So that is really the summary of what we will be covering today. And as we progress on this topic, feel free to drop your questions, even though I intend to reserve some time at the end of the whole talk to take questions. But again, feel free to interrupt if you cannot just skip the question. All right, now let's first assess this report. This is just an excerpt from the 2022 State of Agile Report. So if you can see here, this report states that shifting an organization towards an Agile mindset and culture was the biggest impact coaches believe they had on their organization. Out of the several different impacts, as you can see there, that was this shifting mindset and around shifting culture and mindset was the biggest impact at 32%. And then you have all the other impacts that coaches can create at 20% on agility improvements, 12% on okay, let me go back. Yeah, so out of all the other impacts that coaches can create, you can clearly see that shifting mindset and culture is around 32%, but yet is the most difficult to achieve. which means that if coaches are not able to do this, there's no way they can sleep in peace. There's no way they can feel their impact in that organization. And there's really no way customers can be satisfied, which is the whole essence of agility. So if you look at the challenges that the coaches are facing, again, according to the report, difficulty in changing culture and mindset shift towards Agile is at 39%. Out of the other challenges, like organizational structure not suited for Agile, 28%, 18% on resistance from management and leadership, 11% on not enough time allowed for Agile transformation, 4% on working remotely and COVID-19. So how do we as coaches influence or enable this shift in culture and Agile mindset, which has a really huge role to play on the impact that we are bringing to the organization? The conversation that just happened before I started speaking, that's Ryan, Stephanie, and Jeff. I thought most of the questions that participants asked really touched a lot on some of the things I'll be covering today. So again, that just goes a long way to tell us that this is real on the ground. These challenges are real on the ground. Now, let us look at some of the comments directly from that report. The participants from that report, so these are just some excerpts that I took directly from the report, and these are direct quotes from some of the participants of that survey. They are saying that management has difficulty retaining an experimental mindset in the face of challenges. Culture and mindset shift is the greatest challenge, especially with higher level of leadership due to a lack of direct engagement. Legacy mindset and behaviors are still being rewarded, tolerated, impeding organizational transformation. The command and control structures are deeply rooted, and it takes patience and time to mold individual mindset. So these are just some of the things that coaches are saying around the challenges they are facing, trying to influence organizations to shift their culture and mindset towards agility. So I have put together some recommendations on how we as Agile practitioners can enable this culture and mindset shift towards agility. But as I'll be talking through some of these recommendations, I will be touching on what I believe, based on my own experiences, that are some of the causes of these difficulties that we as Agile practitioners are facing on the ground. And the very first thing is, do we even understand the definition of Agile? Does your organization even really understand the definition of Agile? In my experience, I have seen Agile being perpetrated under so many different things, calling it Agile. But do we truly understand what Agile means? I've even seen situations where you would ask leadership on, okay, so just talk to me, what do you understand about Agile? They will go straight and start talking about frameworks. And Scrum is the most common framework they will lean towards and start, talking about all the events, talking about the metrics, talking about these things. To me, that's already a red flag. And even coaches, so how do we help organizations to start adapting or adopting this mindset? To me, I think the very first thing to do is to go back to the basics, which is really the definition of what Agile truly is. And to me, this diagram you see here represents what I would call Agile in a nutshell: the being part of Agile and the doing part of Agile. So I actually co-founded an organization which is called Being Agile. And what really inspired me to come up with that organization and call it what it's called today, again, is because of my experiences and the challenges that I've seen on the ground, where I find Agile practitioners especially not really reflecting what being Agile is. And as they are helping the organizations, they are planting these not very healthy foundation in organizations. And to me, I think that's what is causing the chaos. So I'm like, okay, how do I contribute in my own little way so that we can start repairing whatever is already going on and start reestablishing that solid foundation for future Agilists to grow from? And that is how we came up with Being Agile. So I see Agile in two parts, being Agile and doing Agile. The most common thing that I would see in organizations is they will be so focused on this top part, the Being Agile part, the framework, tools, techniques, metrics, and all that good stuff. Yeah, these things are great, but it will be challenging for you to get all the benefit or leverage Agile if we are only focused on the doing part. So I think that for us as coaches and as organizations to truly adopt the Agile mindset, it has to start from us really understanding what the being part is all about. And to me, I think the being part is like 70% of your organization to be successful with Agile as a whole. And what is Agile in a nutshell? I see Agile as a mindset and culture that is rooted in 4 values, explained by the 12 principles, and manifested through the unlimited frameworks, tools, techniques, processes, or whatever you want to call it. So if organizations, coaches, we jump straight into start putting framework at the forefront, there's no way that we can really shine or thrive with Agile because it has to come from the inside. And coming from the inside, you need to show up, first of all, as a coach and as the organization, show up through the values that you have in you. And all of that is summarized inside the 4 values and the 12 principles. And that is, to me, the basics that if you realize that your organization is becoming a little bit all over the place, let's go back to the definition. Ensure that your organization understands what Agile truly is and the essence of the being part, so that through the being part that comes from within, it will be easy to manifest the doing part of Agile. Now, let's look at some of the key components of what I consider as being Agile. And all of this, what I've listed as the key components of being Agile have been, extracted from the manifesto under the 4 values and the 12 principles. To me, the most important is the people factor. And when we talk about people factor, to me, it's not just about customers. Employees too is really important for me. So I believe that if we are able to ensure that our employees are happy doing what they're doing, we give them all the support that they need, the direction that they need, and then we stand out of the box, it would automatically translate to customer satisfaction. Because they will put in their best, they're happy doing what they're doing. They will wake up in the morning, very happy to go to work, and it will definitely translate on the outcome of whatever they're doing. So as an organization, are we prioritizing employee joyfulness and customer satisfaction? As Agile coaches, are we helping our organizations to see this fundamental as the most important? So again, if you are in that place where you're struggling with helping your organization to really adopt that mindset, these are some of the things that I will be presenting to them. And then another one is evidence-based management. For organizations to really be successful with Agile, they need to adopt the mindset of evidence-based management, which is really learning by experimenting, creating that environment where experimenting is allowed. There is really no punishment for failure as long as everyone is really looking to experiment in all truth and honesty. Relationship building and engagement with passionate and motivated people. As an organization and as a coach, these are the questions that I'm asking my organization. If we really want to be successful with Agile, we need to invest in relationship building and engagement with passionate and motivated people. I understand that, as we are still looking to adopt Agile, a lot of people may not even understand what it is at that point. They may not know what the expectations are, but there must at least be some people in the organization who already have that understanding. So what I have done in my experience is I would identify those people, establish that relationship with them, start partnering with them, and we serve as the forerunners so that through our living this Agile values, living this Agile principles, really having that mindset, it's gonna be an automatic invitation for our audience to want to also be like us. So relationship building, investing in relationship building and engagement with passionate, motivated people, to me, is key for us as coaches to help our organizations be successful with adopting that mindset. And then creativity and innovation. Organizations, they need to create that environment where everyone is confident and courageous to challenge the status quo. We don't only want to remain on the exact idea that we started the business with in the first place. We want to create that environment where people feel confident to, do the right thing, challenge the status quo. That way, that is how creativity and innovation is born. So that is the mindset that we want to innovate if we want to be successful with Agile. And then continuous learning and improvement. This is also very important in the sense that I see this as the whole essence of agility. Again, with the mindset of experimenting through evidence-based management, we are doing this because we want to continuously learn and improve. It never ends. It never ends. So that is the mindset that, I am putting it to my organization, helping them understand that if we want to be successful with Agile, that is really what agility means. That is really what being Agile means. And then leadership at all levels, in the sense that, we talk a lot about self-management, self-organization, right from the initial phase, right from the fundamental phase. We want to help our organization understand that, especially leadership, because they have a really huge influence to play in all of this. We want to help them understand that, okay, tapping into the skill set of team members, that is the best opportunity you can ever have. And to be able to do that, we need to empower them. We need to empower them to feel like they are part of this initiative. They are part of this vision. That way we trust that, they are capable. So there's something I always say, that if you cannot even trust somebody, then you shouldn't be hiring that person. So if you're hiring that person, then you should be capable of trusting that they are competent enough to do whatever they have to do to deliver value to our customers. So with that in mind, we need to empower our teams so that they can truly be self-organizing and self-managing. That is what I mean by leadership at all levels. All right. The second point on some of my recommendation on how to effectively enable a shift in Agile culture and mindset is to connect and harmonize on the why. Even if we understand what Agile is, now we've helped our organization really understand the meaning of being Agile and doing Agile. Does everyone understand why, as an organization, we want to adopt Agile? Or is it only leadership that has that understanding on why? And to me, I see the why as the goal. Why do we want to do this? So in my experience, what I have found is most of the time, leadership or the people that decided to bring in Agile practitioners to help them through their transformation journey, some of them already have the why, but does everyone else in the whole organization, middle management teams, do they have that understanding on the why we are doing this? Because I've also found that when people have an understanding on why they want to do something or why they should do something, that is already an automatic accountability tool, because they can easily connect to the purpose when they have that understanding. And at that point, they will take it as their own and they will put in their all to ensure that it's successful. So there is this little story that I usually like to share with the people that I help in this Agile space. I used to work for the medical device industry, and we created different medical devices, and from time to time, they would organize town hall meetings, and then they would bring in real customers that have some of these devices in them. Like, for example, would create parts like a device that will control your diabetes, your sugar level, and all of that. So from time to time, they will bring in patients during these town hall meetings, and then they will come there, they will share their story and show their before and their after when they started consuming our product. And then at that point, what the organizers would do is they would identify all of the people that contributed to the effectiveness of that device to stand, and they would recognize them. During that moment, it's so emotional. You being a contributor to that person standing and talking, and knowing that that person's life depends on you, there is no way you will not put in your all to ensure that you're delivering value. There is no way you would want to take corners. You see, so with that, I think that's why it's really important for us as a team, leadership, organization as a whole, to harmonize and connect on the why we want to adopt Agile. What is the benefit? What is the value in this? So once we are able to achieve that, another recommendation for coaches is communicate, clarify, and gain consensus on the conditions for a successful Agile culture and mindset shift. I know that most of the time it's easy for us as coaches to just talk, try to preach whatever we believe in, because when you're passionate about this, it's easy to just talk about it. But what I have noticed, throughout this journey is leadership, team members, organization, or especially leadership, they get stuck at not knowing what to do after this. So what next? Yes, we understand what this is. Yeah, we want to adopt this mindset, and we know why we want to do it, but how do we go about it? What do we need to do? What are the actionable things that we need to do in order to achieve this? This part is mostly missing based on my experience. I have seen situations where we would have 1, 2, 3 days workshop sessions or training sessions in classrooms. And then after that, it's like, okay, leadership, you're on your own to go figuring these things out. But from today, you need to be agile. Yeah, that brings chaos, and they start to be nervous, and they just not understand how to go about things. Gradually, don't want to go back to their comfort zone. So that is why I'm recommending that to help create that sustainable shift in Agile culture and mindset, as we are helping them through understanding what Agile is, why we are doing it. We also want to help them to understand some of the things that they need to do, like restructuring their organization so that Agile can be successful and it should be sustainable, such as allowing time for coaching as part of their capacity planning. So as they are doing their strategies and restructuring, they want to embed time for coaching as part of the whole thing, not as an addition to their work. We want it to be part of their work, not as an addition to their work. So that's one of just an example on something that we want to gain consensus on, so that leadership understands that if we truly want to be successful with this and adopt this mindset and sustain it, okay, we need to put this as part of what we are doing as a whole. And the whole transformation, it has to be from top down. There have been situations where we find ourselves over coaching the teams, and leadership have their own understanding. Yeah, they've given the money for Agile to happen. They've hired Agile coaches, and that's it. You have to figure it out. But we end up focusing on teams so much. Meanwhile, teams really only have so much influence on the organization as a whole. So for Agile to be successful, that mindset to truly be adopted and be sustainable, We want to help leadership understand that this thing has to be from top down. The support has to come from leadership from top down, because when leadership speaks, for the most part, team members are bound to listen more. And then invest in carrying middle management along. So there's something I call operational stakeholder left behind. There was one time where I worked for another organization in the past, and when I just joined that organization, we had a lot of Agile coaches, so many Agile coaches, so many Scrum Masters. We had weekly meetings where all these Agile practitioners would connect. One of those meetings was the first meeting that I attended when I joined that organization. And it was so green. Everyone was so positive about Agile. Everyone was so motivated and so pumped on what Agile is, on the things that they are doing and all of that. I was so happy. I was so pleased that, I finally got into a place that really get what this Agile is. But when I started supporting teams, at that time I was a Scrum Master, it was like I got hit by a train when I went on the ground, because the thing that I saw on this community platform was like opposite of what's happening on the ground. Middle management was doing the opposite of the things that we would talk about on that forum. And then teams were doing their best, they were struggling. So that's when I realized that there was a huge gap around middle management. And a typical example was the team I was currently supporting at that time, they had 27 team members. And then for simple things like icebreaker activities, if we want to carry out a workshop session, imagine having an icebreaker activity where everyone has to have a chance to speak for 27 team members. The meeting was over even before we were done with the icebreaker activity. So as a result of that, there were so many other indicators. So I connected with the engineering manager, and we started having conversations around considering splitting the teams because of the different challenges that I'm facing helping 27 team members as a Scrum team. So when I pitched in that idea, the manager thought it was the funniest thing he has ever heard in his life, in the sense that, so he asked me, so what are you trying to do? Are you trying to say that we would go to team members and then ask them to split themselves? Or what does that mean? He didn't just get it that how would we just leave team members to split themselves on their own, instead of if some splitting has to happen, leadership has to do the splitting and tell team members to go here and you go to this other team and all of that, if at all the splitting would happen. So he thought that was the funniest idea he has ever heard, and he dismissed the meeting. And then another indicator, again, still with this manager, was he would come to teams and then he would say every team member should complete 8 story points. That's it. By the end of the sprint, every team member should complete 8 story points. That is how he would measure his performance for the team. We have new team members who just joined that team. They had no idea what's going on here around the systems. They had no idea about what's going on here with the environment, with the team, with the product they're working on. 8 story points, first of all, I don't even know how to explain that. And then with these new team members, how do we consider the realities of this? And within 3 months, these new team members are still trying to find their way around, no support. Everyone is trying to meet their 8 story points individually. These team members will be fired that they're not performing. So when I saw all this, I went to my Agile coach at that time. I asked, okay, so I hear all these beautiful things happening when we connect for Agile leadership meetings. And at team level, we are doing what we are supposed to be doing, but middle management, how are we helping them? Have they gone through any training? How are we really helping them? And what the coach said at that time was, okay, the organization doesn't have budget for that for now. So we just have to do what we have to do. So it was so difficult because middle management has a huge influence on the organization, but yet they were being left out on the whole transformation. The engineering manager was only doing what he knows how to do best. He had good intentions. He really wanted the organization to deliver value, but that was the best way he knows how to do it. So, I was only one person. I tried my best to do what I can do, but yet, so I had to quit because it was too much to deal with. So that is why I'm recommending that whatever, transformation that is ongoing, the mindset, helping these organizations adapt this mindset, let us try to carry middle management along. Everyone in the organization should be carried along. And then we should also have the mindset of appropriate team sizes. These are the things that we need to help them do, that for us to be successful with this and sustain Agile, we need to restructure our teams, 27 people in a team. And then we connected for a retrospective session. Team members are still saying that they need more people on the team because they're not able to deliver what they're asking because they don't have all the skill set, yet there are 27 people on the team. So I'm like, okay, what's going on here? So I connected with manager. I stated this challenge that this is what is going on. The team is saying that they need more team members, yet we have 27 people on the team. So in the course of conversation and really trying to discover what was happening, I found out that they would hire people and just bring in people to be on the team. They are not the mindset is not, okay, do we have the right skill set to achieve done increments at the end of every sprint? That wasn't their thought process. They just knew that they need people. They need 5, 6, 7, 10, 20 people to be on that team. And yes, they would do the work. But that wasn't the case. 27 people, but yet they're still not able to achieve done at the end of the sprint. So I think it's our responsibility as Agile coaches to help them understand, expose that if we want to be successful with taking advantage of Agile, then we need to restructure and ensure that our team have the right skill set to achieve done at the end of every sprint. So the last but not the least, self-awareness and introspection. As coaches, how many times have we come back to ourselves to really introspect and ask ourselves if we as coaches are, demonstrating and reflecting the Agile mindset, what we expect of these things. It can turn out to be so frustrating, to be honest with you, when, you think you're doing your best and they're just not getting it, or they're just not wanting to do it. It can turn out to be really frustrating, but that is why you need to be aware of your own self. Come back to your own self and introspect, because at the end of the day, there's one thing that I always say, that everyone wants the best for the organization for the most part. You see, so they are only exhibiting what they know best at that time. And if they truly understand what they're doing, they're truly connected to the why, they're truly connected to the big picture, the value that their little contribution is bringing at a holistic level, there's no way they'll not want to buy into this. There's really no way they will not want to buy into this. So how do we do this? I think as coaches, we need to come back to our own selves, to start by recognizing the client's journey so far and their little wins. Because one thing I've also realized is that sometimes we come in as coaches and then we just have our own thing in our head. And then we come in as, okay, we have the gospel truth. Whatever you've been doing is wrong. Try to cancel whatever they've been doing. I mean, most of these people have invested in their career for like 25, 30 years, 40 years, doing what they know how to do best. And then you come all of a sudden, you're coming across like they've been doing it wrong. I mean, if it's been that wrong, then the business will not be existing before you've been hired into that environment. See, so I think as coaches, when we come in, we want to first recognize the client's journey and their little wins so far. You see, that is their past. Acknowledge their reality. Not wanting them to meet us where we are, but we meeting them where they are by acknowledging their reality, really seeing their environment. What is their environment like? What are their real challenges that they're going through? What is their structure? What is impeding them? All of these things, what are the things that are already in place? We want to acknowledge this reality. With that is how we are able to meet them where they are, so that together we can now partner, through partnership, discover the future together. You see, so with discovering the future, what I'm suggesting here is, don't come with your own agenda as an Agile coach. Come with an open mind to go with the client's agenda. Whatever their agenda is, work with their agenda to help them get to their result. And it takes partnership to do that, not your own already premeditated or prepared agenda. I've seen situations where some of us as coaches will walk into a coaching session with clear agenda. I mean, agenda in the sense of we already have questions put in place that we want to go ask the people that we are coaching. How do you know those questions? Where did you get these questions from? When you've not really had a conversation with this person to truly understand their reality, their inside of their real situation. So how are you able to come up with the questions to ask them? You see, so I'm suggesting that, go with no agenda, go there and discover what the situation is, and then partner with your organization so that together you all can learn, discover as you go to get to the expected results. And to achieve that, apply empathy. Get into their shoe to truly understand their situation, to truly understand what they are feeling, their emotions, their challenges. Just put yourself into their shoe. Do that empathetically. And last but not the least, assume positive intention. Like I mentioned before, at the end of the day, there's no, the way I see this thing is people would hardly get up from their bed in the morning, go to work just to be trouble, just to cause trouble. People would hardly do that. Whatever behavior they're exhibiting I think is the best they know how to at that point, you see. So rather than assuming that, they're just resisting, they don't want to do it, they want to be helped because they want better results. So I think to help that situation, we should, assume positive intention. That whatever behavior they are exhibiting, that's the best they know how to do, and just with patience, we can really help them get to that result by assuming positive intention. So to wrap this up, I know I've been talking for a little while. An agile culture, truly, mindset shifts is not easy. It's really not. Dealing with people grown up, it's not easy. You see, it takes a lot. It requires patience. And when I'm talking about patience, I always like to emphasize that, I don't like to use the word always, but most of the time, I would like to emphasize that it's not the ordinary patience. For you to really help your organization, it requires great patience. The ability to explain and clarify on whatever you're suggesting, whatever you're recommending. You want to ensure that you're clarifying, you're explaining. So you need to get comfortable in explaining and clarifying on concepts. And then it's all up to them to decide if they want to try out the concept or not. And you listen empathetically and be ready to collaborate with people. And just be aware of your surrounding, keeping that self-starter mentality that you don't know it all. Nobody knows it all. It's a continuous learning and continuous improvement journey, and it never ends. It never ends. So one thing that I'll urge us as, viewers, coaches, practitioners to do is come back to ourselves, ask ourselves, are we truly agile? Are we exhibiting these behaviors? Do we take agile with us when we wake up from our beds in the morning and go into work? Do we leave it at home? It's not easy to always be in that mindset, but that is where self-awareness comes in, constantly talking to yourself and, intentionally bringing yourself back into these agile behaviors and mindset. So if you think that there are opportunities for improvement, which I believe so, identify those things every day. It's a work in progress. Like I said, it's not always about perfection. What we are looking for around here is progress. Look for those impediments, constantly take action to work on those impediments on yourself so that you can better help your organization. We cannot give what we don't have. And then again, maintain that self-starter mindset. So that is what I had to offer to you today. And I hope that was helpful. Now, if you have any questions, please shoot.
Thank you, Karen. Yeah, so please, if you want, just put the question in the chat or just go off mute. The way the comments have been on, it might be keep the, so maybe just go off mute.
Okay, I guess I'm just gonna stop
There is
sharing
one
now.
question, Karen. If there is none that was asked earlier, maybe I can bring it up. Let's see if anybody has any.
Okay.
Also, I put in the link for if you want to share any takeaways. I'll put it again here once the comments slow down.
Yeah,
Share,
while
I got a
share
question.
any takeaways. Yeah, so we don't have a lot of time, but yeah, let's start.
I got a question.
Yep.
Yeah, I want to ask, thank you, Karen. That's a great session, and that was good. So much insight to take away with. How do you handle organizations that would just hire a Scrum Master just to think they are being agile just by having just a Scrum Master and that's it? How do you jump into an organization and they have only a Scrum Master and they think they're agile?
Okay, I think that's a really good question. But the first thing I would like to ask you is, how do you know that they're hiring a Scrum Master just to think they're being agile? How do you know that? How are you able to get to that conclusion? That is the first thing I would like to know. You know, so again, assumptions is always very dangerous. 90% of the times, assumptions are wrong. So if I realize that we are in a situation where we have just a Scrum Master in an entire organization, by the way, Scrum Masters are coaches too. I would, go have a conversation to find out if they truly understand what they are about to do, what they really want to do, what they're trying to achieve. Really set that, identify that goal, set that clear expectation. Let's all get on the same page on what we all are trying to achieve, which brings us to the point that I mentioned on clarifying on the expectations for us to be successful with this agile mindset. Sees that as an opportunity to have a conversation and clarify on these expectations. And, with that, let's see how they would want to use that information, because at the end of the day, you are only a servant leader and you cannot impose. But what I would do in that situation is I'm clarifying on, through conversation, let's identify some of the things the conditions for us to be successful as an agile environment. I hope that answers your question.
There was somebody else. Sorry, there was somebody else that wanted to ask a question. I heard two voices.
All right, so while we're waiting for those questions to come in, send us questions,
There was one question, Karen, maybe. I heard a voice, that's why I'm asking. I heard a voice, but there's one. Do you have a favorite book recommendation?
Yes, I do actually. I just took a course recently, 7 Rules for Positive Productive Change. The author of the book is Esther Debbie. So you can easily get that book on Amazon. I thought it was a fantastic book because it really helped us as change agents, because that's how I see us, know the things that, the mindset we need to adopt, the things that we need to do on our own selves and, to better help organizations. Yeah, so the title of that book is 7 Rules for Positive Productive Change. And the author is Esther Debbie. Awesome. I see Fritz showing the book there. That's an awesome book. Yeah.
Great. There's one more question. Can you tell us more about EBM, or do you have a resources where you can point them to?
Well, so I'm just going to share more on that, but on the resources, I cannot really pinpoint on a specific book right now. So evidence-based management is what most agile practitioners would call empiricism. Working from experience, doing things based on experience. So a typical example would be an environment where you typically hear of tight deadlines. Before the work gets to the team, deadlines have already been established, even before the team sees the work. So how do we even know this estimates? How do we know? How were we able to establish these estimates? So as Agile practitioners, we want to coach our organization to see the importance and the benefits of trying things out, getting data, starting with data and ending with action, using that information and making adjustments so that we can easily reflect transparency, constantly inspecting and adapting based on evidence. So that's what that is.
Great. Maybe one more. We're out of time, but maybe we can take one more question if you have. I included the one that I know for, at least, that's been popularized by Scrum.org, evidence-based management, Patricia Kong. I've had her on my podcast talk about it. But yeah, like Karen said, there's a lot of, it's not a new concept. So there's a lot of.
It's not. It's not at all. And I just also, while we're going to this question, I just also want to, share this information. If you're looking to connect, if you're looking to gain more insight on some of the things that, I put out there in the community for absolutely free, you can connect to our YouTube channel, Being Agile Consulting. That's the name of the channel on LinkedIn, Facebook. You can easily get to us through that. Visit our website as well and see the many different things we do there.